Our emotional health shapes everything that matters to us: our actions, careers, relationships, health, and overall happiness. However, to live fully and authentically, we need to have some mental flexibility. Discomfort is the price of admission to a meaningful life, and listening to our inner world might just be the key to true emotional freedom. Learning to radically accept the presence of our emotions and discern their message accurately gives us the power to choose how we want to act them out. There's a name for this. It's called emotional expression. Emotional expression refers to the behavior acted out when we recognize or not our emotional state and process or not our feelings about our emotions. For more information on recognizing your emotional states and processing your feelings, you can watch the previous videos on this series following the links provided in the description box below. Moving on. Our behaviors are the result of our perception of what is happening to us emotionally. So if you're unsure about how or what you feel numb, disconnected, or dissociated from yourself, chances are you are living a highly reactive life, where your actions are often hijacked without any conscious input. This is characteristic of an undeveloped or low emotional intelligence, reflecting a lack of personal power. This low resourcefulness limits the number of self-regulation strategies and makes us more likely to abandon self-control mechanisms in the face of frustration. Instead, we display a more fixed mindset, such as we have difficulty learning from experience. We often are in denial about our experience. We are unable to listen to opposing information, have a tendency to blame others or resort to victim-based statements often. We display a reactionary behavior. We have a hard time understanding on how to choose our response in any given situation. Often we sabotage outcomes, have a limited ability to self-control, do not reflect on how to co-create an outcome, and have trouble problem-solving. These are just a few examples illustrating how humans can behave when we do not possess empowering tools to build self-control. In contrast, emotionally intelligent people can be perceived as highly resourceful, as they can select and use the most effective self-regulation strategies for the situation at hand. These abilities include accept criticism and responsibility, are more easily able to move on after making a mistake, they understand their boundaries and say no when they need to. They understand why they feel the way they feel. Know how to gently and constructively process their emotional states. Are able to be vulnerable and share their feelings with others. Always look to solve problems in ways that work for everyone. Have empathy for others. Have developed great listening skills. Understand why they do the things they do, and are not judgmental of others. Having developed an awareness of our emotional states and have learned to use more accurate and diverse labels to describe what we are feeling, empowering us to translate our emotions and express our feelings in healthy ways that expand our mindset and promote growth. We become more skilled at expressing how we feel because we understand the causes or triggers for our emotional discomfort and can anticipate the consequences of our behaviors to what we are experiencing. Some of those consequences have to do with how our emotional states influence others. Our emotional states can not only be mirrored or matched in frequency in others, but they can also induce complementary emotions in them. For instance, a person who expresses anger may lead the person witnessing that anger to feel fear, or someone who expresses gratitude may evoke feelings of pride in the receiver of that gratitude. This is how our emotional states play a role in influencing our social environment. What distinguishes high emotional intelligence from low emotional intelligence individuals is their ability to navigate and consciously choose which consequence serves them best. How can we forecast this chain reaction and make better decisions? We will elaborate more on this in future videos, but for now, we'll leave you with this. our behaviors have a profound impact on our relationships. Still, without understanding our own emotional drivers, we're constantly reacting to whatever comes our way, which is usually the consequence of others' decisions or behaviors. Emotions and feelings act as data, and when interpreted correctly, they can inform us about how well we are satisfying our needs and living in line with our own personal values. For instance, unpleasant emotions like fear act as a messenger or a safety mechanism that tells us that something valuable, like our identity, is being threatened. Likewise, shame or regret may tell us that our actions are misaligned with our personal truth, what feels right to us and us only. These feelings may be warning us that we're acting out of our authentic expression and might be operating under social expectations because we fear rejection. On the other hand, pleasant feelings like joy or gratitude may signal that we are congruent with our life's principles. Understanding the benefits and using positive or pleasant emotions to our advantage is an example of emotional intelligence. When we familiarize ourselves with our emotions, we can see how unpleasant emotions cause narrowing thoughts to focus on the specifics of a problem. In contrast, pleasant emotions expand thought-action repertoires and encourage an upward spiral of more pleasant states. This expansion enhances inspiration, facilitating creative solutions to challenges and considering alternative pathways towards what we want to achieve. Possessing a complex understanding of our pleasant emotions and using this knowledge to adapt resourcefully to unpleasant stimuli gives us great resilience to effectively deal with these less desirable emotional states. Strategies that bring balance to our nervous system, such as humor, self-care, relaxation, creative expression, exploration of behavior alternatives, and hopeful, optimistic thinking can help us navigate these states and provide a higher level of resilience for future roadblocks. When it comes to expressing our emotions, one of the biggest challenges happens when we face an emotionally charged situation. We're often so focused on the other person or circumstance that we forget about us. As a response, we automatically and impulsively find ourselves in a defensive position. Instead of checking in with our inner state first to choose an appropriate response, we end up adding more fuel to the fire and creating an emotional chain reaction. How can we express our emotional states more wisely? An effective way to do this is to increase our awareness of the consequences of our behaviors. With this in mind, we share with you an exercise for you to explore how to express your feelings in positive ways. And as usual, you will find the link in the description box below. Although the different skills essential to develop emotional intelligence were presented separately in this series, in reality, they work together synergetically. Expressing emotions wisely is impossible if we are unaware of them. How can we express what we do not feel? Likewise, to use emotions to facilitate social integration, we must first learn to regulate them. How else can we overcome a challenging situation if we're stuck overthinking feelings of frustration and anger? There are countless links between the skills we have discussed so far, which means that training any given emotional intelligence skill will automatically influence the others. Even though our emotional health can be improved by learning different resources, the solution often requires deep self-reflection, which comes with some mental discomfort. So remember, the brain avoids newness for the same reason it leans into predictability. We avoid new experiences because they're often out of our mind's safety zone, but beyond that zone lies way too many upsides to ignore. You can only have actual power to respond to something when you're conscious that you do have a choice on how to respond in the first place. But for that, you need to catch yourself in any challenging situation and slow down enough to take it in, realize how you feel about it first, and take the time you need to process those feelings. Someone who reacts impulsively usually isn't aware of what they're feeling until they have had their reaction. Those reactions are usually filled with words or actions coming from a place deep within them, full of pain and suffering. In any interactions you encounter in life, you're the only variable in that equation that you have control over and can change, so be that change. The more you focus on understanding yourself, the more present you become for others too. You turn into an example others can model of what it means to know oneself, to be in peace, living the life you are consciously and holistically choosing in every single now moment, unfazed by others' approval. Maintaining a strong emotional health is an active process that we benefit from cultivating in our everyday lives. How does your upbringing influence your feelings? Where are you giving your attention to? How do you hold space for opposing views? Where are your boundaries? How do you make good decisions? And what resources do you currently have at your disposal to help you navigate your emotional spiral? There is so much to explore. So in the following videos, we will begin deconstructing these skills and focus on practical guidance to cultivate emotional awareness, understanding emotional processing, and master emotional expression. We are inviting you to expand your perception about mindfulness, intuition, resilience, vulnerability, attachment, self-love, compassion, boundaries, and many, many others. Plus, we will provide you with a spectrum of the most critical emotional labels so that by the end of this series, you'll be empowered with everything you need to live a more conscious and balanced life. If you liked today's episode, don't forget to subscribe and give this video a thumbs up. We cannot wait to share all of this curated knowledge with you, so stay tuned and we'll see you in the next video.